Hey, buddy, hit that subscribe. Just a sec for you, but it means the world to me. For almost 5 months straight, every single morning felt like my body was rebelling against me. I'd wake up nauseous before my feet even hit the floor. Some days, I barely made it to the bathroom in time. Food? Forget it. Toast, eggs, even coffee. The one thing I relied on for decades. Turned my stomach. By the time noon rolled around, I felt drained like someone had pulled the plug on my energy. I dropped over 35 pounds without trying. My clothes hung off me like they belonged to someone else. And the worst part? My hair started coming out in clumps. I'd run my hand through it and just freeze, staring at what was left behind. 3 different doctors ran test after test. Blood work. Scans. Everything came back clean. You're fine, they kept saying. But I didn't feel fine. I felt like I was slowly fading. What I didn't know back then was that the answer had been sitting on my wrist the entire time. It all started on my 60th birthday. I didn't even want to celebrate. My wife had passed 2 years earlier, and birthdays just felt hollow without her. But my daughter, Rachel, pushed me into it. "Dad, Mom wouldn't want you sitting alone," she said. And she was right. So that evening, I stood in my living room with a small group of people who still checked in on me. Rachel, a couple neighbors, and an old buddy from my bowling league. I was cutting cake when the door opened, and my son, Eric, walked in. That alone surprised me. Eric had been distant for months. Always busy. Always working on some deal or another. So seeing him there, smiling like nothing was wrong, caught me off guard. He walked straight over and handed me a small, neatly wrapped box. "Happy birthday, Dad." Inside was a watch. Not just any watch. This thing looked expensive. Silver casing. Clean face. Real leather band. The kind of watch you admire in a store window, but never actually buy. I remember laughing, telling him he didn't have to do all that. Eric shook his head. "You taught me that time is the most valuable thing we've got," he said. "I just want you to remember that." I won't lie, it hit me right in the chest. I hugged him harder than I meant to. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd been wrong about him pulling away. Then he did something strange. He took the watch from the box and fastened it around my wrist himself. Tightened it carefully. Then he looked me dead in the eye. "Promise me something," he said. "What's that?" "Promise you'll wear it every day. Don't take it off." It felt like an odd request, but I brushed it off. Grief makes people cling to weird things. I nodded and said, "Yeah, of course." And that was the promise that nearly cost me my life. Over the next few weeks, the watch never left my wrist. I slept with it on, showered with it on. At first, it just felt like a sentimental gift, something that kept my son close. But then the sickness started. And oddly enough, Eric started calling more. At first, it seemed sweet. "Hey, Dad, just checking in. How are you feeling today? You still wearing the watch, right?" Every time he asked that last question, I'd glance down and say yes. And every time, he sounded relieved. Rachel noticed things before I did. She came by one afternoon and just stared at me for a second before saying, "Dad, you don't look okay." She tried to get me to see another doctor, pushed me to eat, asked why Eric was suddenly around all the time after being absent for months. I defended him. Of course I did. That's what parents do. But deep down, something felt off. The weight loss got worse. The nausea never stopped. And Eric's concerns started feeling less like love and more like monitoring, like he was keeping score. One night, after everyone had left and the house was quiet, I sat alone on the couch, staring at the watch on my wrist as it ticked softly in the dark. I remember thinking how strange it was that something so beautiful could feel so heavy. I had no idea that inside that watch was a secret slowly destroying me. And I definitely didn't know that the next decision I made, just trying to get some fresh air, would expose a truth so dark it would shatter my entire family. Because the moment a stranger asked me where that watch came from, everything changed by the 3rd week. I couldn't pretend anymore. This wasn't some stomach bug. This was something else. Something that didn't play by normal rules. Every morning hit me like a wave. Nausea, cold sweats, that hollow, empty feeling in my gut like my body had already given up on the day. I stepped on the scale and just stared. 158 pounds. I'd been nearly 180 not that long ago. My belt needed another notch. My shirts looked borrowed, and my face in the mirror, man, it didn't even look like me. My eyes were sunken, skin dull, hair thinner every day. I looked like someone aging in fast forward. That's when Rachel stopped asking and started pushing. "Dad, this isn't normal," she said one Sunday, setting a sandwich in front of me I barely touched. "You've lost too much weight. You need to see Dr. Harris." Like, now. I tried brushing it off. "I'll call tomorrow." She leaned in, lowering her voice. "You've been saying that for weeks." Before I could respond, the front door opened. Eric walked in carrying grocery bags, like he owned the place. Soup, crackers, ginger tea. Everything lined up neatly on the counter. On the surface, it looked caring, responsible, the picture-perfect son. But Rachel noticed something I didn't want to see. "You've been here a lot lately," she said, arms crossed. Where was this energy 6 months ago? Eric didn't miss a beat. People step up when it matters. Then his eyes flicked to my wrist. "You still wearing it, Dad?" I nodded. "Haven't taken it off." "Good," he said quickly. "Just be careful with it. Don't get it wet." That night, I finally made the appointment. Dr. Harris had been my doctor for over a decade. The moment he walked in and saw me, his face changed. He checked my vitals, examined my eyes, asked about my appetite. I watched his pen pause over clipboard. "You've lost a lot of weight," he said carefully. "When did this start?" "Right after my birthday." I answered. He ordered everything: blood work, urine tests, imaging, the whole package. Eric insisted on driving me, sitting in the waiting room like the concerned son. When the test came back, Dr. Harris frowned. "Everything's normal," he said, which honestly doesn't make sense. Normal. That word again. On the drive home, Eric kept asking questions. "Is the nausea worse in the morning? Are you throwing up every day? Any headaches? Dizziness?" It felt less like concern and more like a checklist. Rachel called later that night. "Dad, can I ask you something without you getting mad?" I sighed. "Go ahead." Doesn't it feel weird how involved Eric suddenly is? I snapped back harder than I meant to. "He's worried about me. Can you not turn everything into a conspiracy?" She went quiet. "I just have a bad feeling." So, did I? I just wasn't ready to admit it. A few days later, I was washing dishes when water splashed over the watch. Eric, who had stopped by unannounced, grabbed my wrist so fast I actually gasped. "Did water get inside?" he demanded. "It's just a watch," I said. "It's not just a watch." He snapped, then caught himself. "Please, Dad, be careful." That was the moment something clicked. His fear wasn't about the watch getting ruined. It was about something inside it. That night, lying in bed with my stomach churning and my head pounding, I stared at the ceiling and replayed everything. The timing, the weight loss, the daily calls, the obsession with the watch never leaving my wrist. And for the first time, a thought crossed my mind that scared me more than the sickness itself. What if this wasn't an illness? What if someone was doing this to me on purpose? By the 4th month, my life had turned into a cycle of waiting rooms and bad news disguised as good news. Specialist after specialist. Gastro doctors. Neurology. Even oncology, because at that point, cancer almost felt like it would at least explain things. But every time the answer was the same. Everything looks normal. Normal didn't explain why I couldn't keep food down. Normal didn't explain why my hands shook. Normal definitely didn't explain why I was down 30 pounds and losing hair like it was autumn. One doctor finally said out loud, "Have you considered stress? Trauma? Grief?" I wanted to scream. I'm not imagining this. But I could see it in their eyes. They thought I was wasting away because my mind was broken, not my body. Eric drove me home that day. The silence in the car felt heavier than usual. When I finally spoke, my voice cracked. "They think I'm doing this to myself." He didn't rush to comfort me. He just nodded. "Maybe there really isn't anything wrong, Dad." That comment stuck with me. It didn't sound like reassurance. It sounded like resignation. Rachel saw me the next morning and broke down. She touched my head, her fingers trembling. "Dad, your hair." Tears filled her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me it was this bad?" Before I could answer, Eric walked in like clockwork. Groceries. Soup. Concerned face already in place. Rachel pulled him aside. I could hear their voices rise in the kitchen. "You're not panicking," she hissed. "Why aren't you panicking?" "I am panicking," he said calmly. "That's why I'm here." "No," she shot back. "You're monitoring him." I should have listened. Instead, I stepped in and defended him. "Rachel, stop. Your brother's just trying to help." The look on her face, hurt, frustrated, scared, will haunt me forever. Later that night, I noticed something that chilled me. Eric wasn't just checking on me. He was watching the watch. Every time, every visit, every call. "You still wearing it, right? You didn't take it off?" Good. That night, the headaches hit harder than ever. The kind that makes light unbearable. I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., I gave up, grabbed my jacket, and walked out of the house. I didn't have a destination. I just needed air, movement, anything that made me feel alive. I wandered through downtown until my legs felt weak. That's when I saw it. A narrow shop wedged between a bookstore and a cafe. The window was filled with old watches and clocks, all ticking softly in the early morning quiet. I caught my reflection in the glass and barely recognized myself. Sunken eyes, pale skin, a ghost staring back. And then, almost without thinking, I pushed the door open. A bell chimed overhead. The place smelled like wood, metal, and time itself. An older man stepped out from the back. Kind eyes scanned me like he already knew something was wrong. "That's a fine watch you're wearing," he said. "Mind if I ask where you got it?" "My son gave it to me." I replied. For my birthday. His expression changed. He asked one question that made my blood run cold. "How long have you been sick?" That was the moment I realized my nightmare wasn't in my head. And whatever was happening to me had been designed. The old man didn't rush me. He studied my face the way doctors should have been doing for months. Not charts. Not numbers. Me, "I've been fixing watches for over 40 years, he said calmly. "And I don't say this lightly. Something about yours is wrong." I laughed weakly. "It's just a watch." "That's what worries me." He asked if he could take a closer look. For the first time since my birthday, I hesitated before unclasping it. My wrist felt strangely naked without the weight I'd grown used to. He held it up, turning it slowly under the lamp. "The balance is off," he muttered. "Too heavy for a case this size." He carried it to the workbench in the back, slipped on a magnifying loupe, and carefully opened the casing. Then he froze. I saw his hand stiffen, his face drained of color. Inside the watch was a tiny seal capsule. In so cleanly it looked factory-made. Clear liquid, perfectly placed. He looked at me, voice low and steady. "Sir, you need to sit down." My knees buckled before my mind caught up. "What is it?" I whispered. "This isn't decorative," he said. "It's engineered. Custom work. Designed to slowly release vapor when warmed by body heat." The room spun. "Release what?" He didn't answer right away. He closed the watch carefully, like it was dangerous to even breathe near it. "I can't tell you exactly what substance this is without lab tests," he said. "But I can tell you this. Whatever's in there is toxic. Slow-acting. Nearly invisible to standard medical tests." My heart slammed against my ribs. "You're saying—" My voice cracked. "You're saying this thing made me sick?" He met my eyes. "I'm saying if you keep wearing it, you won't survive much longer." Every memory hit me at once. "Never take it off." "Dad, you're still wearing it, right?" The panic when water touched it. The constant questions about my symptoms. My stomach dropped. "My son," I whispered. "My own son gave me this." The watchmaker's face softened, but his voice stayed firm. "I'm so sorry. But this wasn't an accident. Someone planned this." I couldn't breathe. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. "Don't put it back on," he said sharply. "And don't go home. You need to go to the police." Now, I stare at the watch on the bench. The silver casing, the elegant face, the lie wrapped in beauty, the gift speech about time, about love. It had all been a performance. Before we left, he asked me a question that sliced deeper than anything else. Do you have significant assets? Life insurance. The answer came too easily, too clearly. Yes. He nodded slowly. Then you need protection. As we locked up the shop, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Eric calling. I didn't answer, because in that moment, I realized something worse than the poison. My son wasn't trying to hurt me. He was trying to wake me out. The police station felt colder than the antique shop. Fluorescent lights. Hard chairs. No room for denial. The detective listened without interrupting as I told my story, from the birthday gift to the weight loss to the watch on the workbench. When I finished, she didn't hesitate. We believe you. I didn't realize how badly I needed to hear those words until my chest tightened and my eyes burned. For months, doctors had treated me like a mystery, like a maybe. The police treated me like a victim. They bagged the watch as evidence and rushed me to the hospital. Blood samples, hair samples, for fluids. One doctor quietly said, "You're lucky you came in when you did." That night, the detective made a plan. "You can't confront your son," she said. "Not yet. If he suspects anything, he could disappear or escalate. So what do I do?" I asked. "You act like nothing's changed." My phone buzzed. Eric calling. My hands shook as I answered. "Dad? Where are you?" "I've been calling." "I'm at the hospital," I said weakly. "More tests." A pause. Then, "You're still wearing the watch, right?" I looked at the evidence bag across the room. "Yeah, I lied, just like I promised." The lab results came back 2 days later. Heavy metal exposure. 5 months' worth. The detective laid out the financials next. Gambling debts. Failed investments. A forged insurance policy. My coverage had been quietly increased without my knowledge. My son had done the math. He expected me to be gone within weeks. They arrested Eric that night. No warning. No goodbye. 3 months later, I sat in a courtroom and watched him avoid my eyes. The judge's voice was steady. "You betrayed the most sacred bond there is." The sentence echoed through the room. When they led him away, he didn't look back. I thought it would break me, but I was still breathing, still here, and the watch that nearly killed me had become the proof that saved my life. Healing didn't happen overnight, not even close. Physically, it took months. 4 treatments, medications to pull the toxins out of my system. Days where just standing up felt like running a marathon. Slowly, the nausea faded. My weight crept back up. My hair started growing in again, thin at first, then stronger. The doctors called it a miracle. I called it a second chance I almost didn't get. The emotional recovery was harder, way harder. No medicine prepares you for realizing your own child calculated your death like a business decision. I still wake up some nights replaying that birthday speech, wondering how long he'd been planning it, while smiling in my face. My daughter, Rachel, saved my life. I didn't listen to her when it mattered, and I carry that guilt every day. We have dinner together twice a week now. No excuses. No delays. Time doesn't feel unlimited anymore. The watch sits locked away in an evidence room somewhere. I hope it stays there forever. I started speaking at senior centers not long after the trial, not because I wanted to relive it, but because I don't want anyone else learning this lesson the hard way. Abuse doesn't always look violent. Sometimes it looks like attention, gifts, concern, love with conditions. Here's what I tell people now. If someone suddenly becomes very interested in your health and your finances, pay attention. If a gift comes with rules, especially rules about never taking it off or questioning it, pause. If someone tries to isolate you from the one person asking real questions, that's a red flag. Trust your instincts. Mine whispered for months. I ignored them until a stranger listened when no one else would. I lost a son the day he decided money mattered more than my life. But I gained clarity and time. Time I don't waste anymore. If this story made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort can save lives. Talk to your parents, your grandparents. Check in. Ask questions. Don't brush off sudden changes. Because sometimes the danger isn't outside the family. Sometimes it's sitting right next to you, smiling. Thank you for staying with me to the end. And please share this story with someone who needs to hear it.